2, 3, kick. Come on, everybody, clap your hands. Ooh, you're looking good. Are you having a good time? I sure am. Do you like soul music?
Rockinitis.
I wanna go to heaven, but I've been told the Rockinitis has got my soul. Been rocking and rolling till the break of dawn. Man, I wonder if my baby is still at home. Wonder if my baby is still at home.
Hi cats and kittens, welcome to Rockinitis. My name is Michael Willmore, and this time we're going to be doing kind of a local focus, look at what was happening in Vancouver basically in the 1980s, in the Vancouver New Wave era. And my special guest this time out is Scott Beadle.
Silver, put it up on the stand. Who took the diamonds, the bloody diamonds, got them into their hand? These are questions as yet unanswered. I don't even try to understand when people say we're wasting our time. When I was just a little younger, people said don't step out of line. I was a good boy, a goody good boy. I made myself sick, it was a crime. I started turning the pages over.
See if they can do it. Anyway, a great tune by the Bonus Boys, and that's one of those tunes that, you know, it's kind of a forgotten little mini masterpiece because it never got any airplay. None of this, hardly any of this stuff ever got airplay at the time.
Except on Rob Whittam's show, like you say, community
if
radio.
you like CITR, Co-op Radio, they played this stuff at the time it was out.
Yeah.
But all these groups from Vancouver, and I've interviewed lots of them, they all tell the same story. That they took their record to the local commercial radio stations, and the guy said, yeah, this isn't a real record.
Yeah.
What does that mean? This isn't a real record. It's like it doesn't have like the industry behind it. You know, it doesn't have like mega bucks behind it. So we're only interested in the big time, you know, because we're a world-class city.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate because most of the eras that you're familiar talking about and having shows on, something can come out of nowhere. You know, here's something we recorded ourselves, and a DJ thinks it's a great tune and takes a chance on it, and off it goes.
Yeah,
and this just wasn't happening in the late '70s and early 80s.
No, radio, local commercial radio was not supportive of local bands in the '80s. Generally, occasionally, if somebody, you know, somebody's brother-in-law was in a group or something like that. You know, in this country, my experience has been, in this country, if it's who you know.
Yeah.
And if you have some kind of connection or something, then you can do all right.
Yeah.
But if you're just coming in cold off the street, they don't give you the time of day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know, they're only interested in following what's going on in the trade papers and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, unfortunate. So anyway, we kind of lost our place there and jumped ahead to another kind of thing. But anyway, we're going to go now to No Fun, which is a a group from Surrey, and they called themselves the Beatles of Surrey,
Yeah, yeah.
which I think is funny. I mean, David M. is the leader, and he was kind of a character. He worked in Chapter's books.
Yeah, and might still, as far as I
Yeah,
know.
maybe.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Anyway, I talked to him a couple of times, and at Chapter's books, and he had a cute little dog that he used to bring into work all the time. I mean, they seemed to tolerate that. And anyway, I talked to him a couple of times when he was doing. A couple of times he would do a talk on some new book or something or other. So I would go in and attend, and he had a dog there, and he had a ball that a dog would always be going around to members of the audience with this ball in his mouth and looking at him, at the audience. So you'd grab the ball away from the dog, and then you'd throw it, and the dog would run all over Chapter's books, chasing the ball. And David M. would give you instructions as to where to. It works better if you throw it down there. He likes running down that hall.
Down in the kids section.
Anyway, I thought this was real kind of like homey, like hokey. And I thought he was quite a charming guy. And there's a sense of humor to the guy.
Very much a sense of humor to him, and in all of his No Fun musical projects.
Yeah.
The personnel's changed a lot from when he started out as more or less just a recording project in Surrey with friends, and they made a first couple records, and their live shows were very rare. And then most people saw No Fun in the early 80s and in the mid 80s when he started playing more live shows.
Anyway, the sense of humor is manifested in the name of the record label itself.
Yes.
He's on.
One of my favorites, yeah.
He's on Werewolf T-shirt records.
Yeah.
So if you have a T-shirt with a werewolf on the front,
Yeah.
that's where he got the name.
Yeah. Record label. Yeah.
Anyway, 1978, and the tune is kind of like a takeoff on 1960s psychedelia,
Yeah.
I guess, and it's called Paisley Brain Bolts of the Mind. So David M. with No Fun, with a great local release.
Vibrations of love. My record play every shaker's Monterey. My love absorbs the world of love and kisses its face. Love rules the lovely people, and I love this lovely day. And now, where guessing's low. It's love that kind. Sometimes people hassles disrupt the vibes of peace. So kill with Paisley Rainbow tongue that mind. So kill with Paisley Rainbow tongue mind. I don't know what you say, but this is what I say. You better look out for the end of my horns and look for trouble. The one's in trouble, here comes the trouble. You better look out for the end of my horns. I better look out for the end of my horns. Look out, mister, for the end of my horns. That's how I got here. How did it get here?
This group is actually a lot of fun, and they're called No Fun. And they're the Beatles of Surrey,
Yeah.
as they used to bill themselves.
I've always thought of them more as the Beach Boys of Surrey. That's what I find funny about that.
Anyway, it's kind of like a group. Like David M., I mean, even he would admit that he's kind of an eccentric.
Well, and I'm only half joking about the Beach Boys. He's more of a Brian Wilson type of a character, I think.
Oh, yeah?
A real musically driven, obsessive guy marching to the beat of his own drummer.
Well, he occasionally sells things at the record collector's swap meet, so I recognize him when I go there, and then I always engage him in conversations. He has no idea who I am or anything like that. or that we'd be playing his stuff or anything like that. So I always kind of engage him in conversations, and he's always, I'm always kind of bemused by the guy, because he's kind of an eccentric, and he has a weird kind of sense of humor. And I think quirkiness is very West Coast.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he fits right into the
when
Vancouver
they released
new
those
scene.
first couple of 7-inch EPs, he mailed them around to all the mail orders and labels he could find down at San Francisco, and including England. And the story he told me one time is that he actually got some interest from the label Rough Trade in England.
Okay.
Until they found out he wasn't from the Surrey in England.
Oh,
They
okay.
thought it was a band that they were down the street, and they thought, oh, this is great. We'll sign them and we'll check them out. And then they found out he was from Canada, so they just
Anyway,
that was the end of that.
Anyway, we're going to go now to a new wave group called The Shades. And this is on the Vancouver Complication LP on Pinned Records. And I guess pinned means the needle on the VU meter, like pinned to extreme distortion.
Someone explain it to me. That sounds right, because I've forgotten what it means.
Yeah. Anyway, The Shades, New Clientele. This is featuring Chris Arnett, formerly was the frontman for the Furies.
Yeah.
And this is from the Vancouver Complication album. New Clientele, and we'll basically, I guess we'll play it from the, have you got the,
I've
okay,
got
we'll
this
put it
one.
on that then. Can you sit it in the CD player there?
Oh, in the front?
Yeah. You just kind of, I know this is the first time you've ever even
This is
looked
the
at it.
first time I've ever even looked at it.
So you have to kind of open the drawer and then slide it in.
I slide it in like this?
Yeah, just drop it in.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, and then you
No, this isn't working.
and then you drop it in, and then you kind of press play.
This isn't right.
You got it in backwards?
Oh, I've got the wrong drawer, Michael. That's why. Look,
Okay. I can't see what you're doing, so.
done. I'm
Okay,
pressing-
done?
Yeah. Except I haven't pressed play.
Okay, this is on the Vancouver Complication LP on Pinned Records, New Clientele by The Shades. So you press the start button.
Okay.
Get it revolving.
I think it already
And then we'll
was.
beam vibes at it because it's kind of Mickey Mouse.
There's a new clientele in town, and it's gonna be the end of the hotel. But there's a new clientele, and all the hard sell. Got some product of merchandise to sell. You can do it 'cause you already sold yourself. I know your game, I know it well. And all the hard sell. South by the rays of their pop culture. Addicted to romance that leaves them cold as fish with broken hearts and synchronized swimmers, making well-planned dives into the arms of the ghost of today, floating on the surface, values of now, they're synchronized swimming, and it's an endless sea. Synchronized swimming.
Out on the beach, between the clams, upon a rock, checking out all the scams. The seaweed tango, cat miss meow. The dog is trying to buy, didn't know how. I was a teenage Monaco. 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 Look for a long shot, lend me a fin. Down at the sandbar drinking water and gin. With little cars gone in, she was a real
Okay, you can stop it.
There we go.
Anyway, 3 tracks there by various Vancouver New Wave groups. Teenage Barnacle is Paul McKenzie on vocal and sax. He was quite the showman.
An amazing showman, yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Enigmas at some club date at some point. And the sax guy was the singer and all that stuff, and he was really quite the showman, I thought. He basically was very entertaining to watch and that kind of thing. And that's from a 12-inch EP on Mystery Records, 1981. They actually had 2 12-inch EPs, the Enigmas. And before that, Synchronized Swimming by Popular Front. They're kind of a new wave art rock kind of band, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, they were more liable to use keyboards and synthesizers that were still exotic back then.
And they had kind of a European kind of vibe.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. I never did see them, but anyway, it features Alan Moy on lead vocals. And that was actually a previously unreleased track from 1981 from the Last Call CD. Now, I mentioned this CD before. You really should pick up on this. Even though it's out of print, you should be able to find it somewhere, somehow.
It's worth inquiring at Zulu.
Yeah.
In case they've got one in.
Yes.
Even though it's, like you say, out of print.
Yes. And before that, New Clientele with the Shades from the Vancouver Complication LP. Now, we were talking before about, Vancouver music and not having a hard time getting on commercial radio and stuff. This next group we're going to feature is the Payolas, who actually didn't have any trouble at all getting on commercial radio.
Although their name didn't help.
No, the name didn't help. Now,
Explain
explain why the name didn't help.
Well, the name alone was enough to scare away enough people from dealing with something called payola.
Yeah.
Even though the payola scandal happened way back in the 50s, I'm sure the practice never actually died out, so no one's going to call attention to the...
Well, the thing is that, like, commercial radio it shies away extremely from anything at all that causes them problems.
Right.
So if there's legal issues with a record, don't touch that with a 10-foot stick.
Yeah.
It's like they immediately jump away from whatever is going to be problematic.
Yeah.
So when a group comes out called the Payolas, they go, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot stick.
Yeah.
And so it was quite hard for them to actually get airplay, but they did. They accomplished it. And the first release they had was, the first release they had was China Boys, which, have you listened to the lyrics on this?
Well, they're not the greatest lyrics.
Well, I'm thinking it's kind of racist because it's about the influx of Asians into Vancouver, and the guy goes, I want your TV, I want your car. Roll out the red carpet.
Yeah, the chorus is roll out red carpets, here come the China Boys, and it's always kind of been a flippant chorus and
anyway, I always found it kind of racist, like, roll out the red carpets, here come the China Boys.
This was the time of the boat people. There was a big issue about boat people.
Okay.
And,
on the back of the Payola single of China Boys, there's an excerpt from a letter from a publishing company where they object to some of the lyrics and refuse to publish the tunes for them, and suggest that some of the words be removed from the text because it's just not acceptable for either radio or television. So anyway, here are those lyrics. 10 billion people knocking on your door. I want to stay here, sleep on the floor. I hear them laughing. I know where you are. I don't want your TV. I want your car. Roll out the red carpets. Here come the China Boys. 10 billion people across the sea. 10 billion people like you and me. I see them smiling. They think it's fun. They got some rowboats. They got some guns. Roll out the red carpets. Here come the China Boys.
Anyway, great tune, and it's got kind of a nice little Asian Oriental type chorus, like the
chiming,
yeah,
the whole thing's very cartoonish.
Yeah.
And they made a video for it, which was also an exotic thing to make a music video.
Okay.
It was still in its infancy.
Anyway, this was the first hit, although I don't think this got commercial radio airplay. It did get played on CITR and places like that, right?
And it paved the way for them to getting eventually signed by A&M, and then...
Yeah. Anyway, and they still kept the unorthodox name, the Payolas.
Yeah, yeah.
The Payolas from Vancouver.
Many of the excuses that local commercial radio used to refuse to play the music of many of our local groups, they often said, that's not a real record, so we won't be playing it. Well, this next tune here was produced by a big-time, big-name producer, Mick Ronson. Now, Mick Ronson was born in 1946 in Hull, Yorkshire. For some reason or other, when I used to see him on TV, on stage, backing up David Bowie, for some reason or other, I had the idea that he was German at the time, but he's just as English as David Bowie. Anyway, this LP here made number 9 on the LP charts in 1974. And Mick Ronson was the lead guitar player with David Bowie's Spiders from Mars. And he was also a member of Bob Dylan's Rolling Thunder Revue. Unfortunately, he died of liver cancer in 1993 at the age of 46. Mick Ronson was a guitarist, an arranger, and a producer, and he produced the Payolas, which guaranteed that they would get airplay locally on commercial radio once they saw a big-time name attached to this music.
Now that was the big hit by the Payolas, which got mega airplay on commercial radio. And at the time that record was out, I went down to a club on Robson Street. No, Davies. No, it was I can't remember the street. It was across the street from Richards on Richards, so it'd be Richards Street. And it was across the street though, and I don't know what the club was. But anyway, we were standing in line. And the Payolas had Eyes of a Stranger out at the time, and they were playing there, headlining there.
It might have been The Love Affair.
Maybe it was The
That's
Love
on
Affair.
Richards.
Yeah, anyway, we were standing outside, and there was like maybe 50 other people out in the lineup. And about every 15 minutes, the guy would let 2 people in. So we're standing there, and we're standing there. And I says, this is really annoying. I mean, we've been here like 45 minutes, and we're just standing on the sidewalk. And my friend says, well, you know, I think what they're doing is they're using us as advertising. I said, what? What does that mean? He says, well, they want people to line up on the sidewalk so it looks like a really popular club to people driving by.
I say, hey, who's playing there?
Yeah, who's
Must
playing
be
there? Must
popular.
be something going on.
Yeah.
I says, they wouldn't do that, would they? Use us as like guinea pigs
I
like
don't
that?
like where this is going.
Anyway, he says, well, what are we standing here for anyway? I mean, you're in the media. He says, you got a press pass. Oh, that's right. I go, I do. I'm in the media. I'd forgotten. So I thought, I'll use my press pass and I'll go up to the bouncer, the doorman, and I'll say, I got a press pass here. I'm really an important guy.
Right.
So how about letting us in?
As you do, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes, yeah, come on. So anyway, we go in, and there was like 9 people inside the club. 9 people, and 50 people standing out on the sidewalk.
Wow.
And I was so annoyed that I said, I don't want to participate in this.
Right.
I refuse to be part of the the
The
hordes.
cynical machination.
I don't want to be part of the herd mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically. So we walked away, and we never did see the payolas. And that was that.
You'd already done your 45 minutes in the herd
Yes.
mentality.
I put in my time.
Yeah.
I paid my dues.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was an example of a group from Vancouver that was in the New Wave era that really did make it big,
Yeah.
considering.
Yeah. You can hear a lot of the influence of the Police in that last track. The Police were huge
Yes.
at this time, and I think that when A&M found that they had in them a group that could like compete with the Police on their own level in their own country, that helped them a lot, and they did kind of a reggae crossover pop thing.
And Paul Hyde was the lead singer and basically the focus of the group.
Yeah.
And they were a great group and did some great stuff. And actually that Eyes of a Stranger tune there on the A&M record label, that actually came out in 1982, and it was awarded Juno Award for the Single of the Year and the Most Promising Group Award.
And the guitarist, we should mention, Bob Rock,
Okay.
became mega international
Bob
producer
Rock,
star.
that
Bob
is a
Rock.
good producer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to Slave to My Dick by the Subhumans,
Yeah.
I mean, it suddenly, like you listen to other things they've done, and then
it's
you
a
listen
level
to
up.
Bob Rock's production of
Yeah.
what they did,
Yeah.
it's like a good 20% leap ahead from the other stuff in
Yeah.
comparison. The guy knows how to capture sounds.
Yeah, he cut his teeth and learned his ropes recording a lot of these early Vancouver punk and new wave groups at Little Mountain Sound, where he was like a understudy engineer, and brought these groups in and recorded them just to like build his chops. And that's why it's one of the reasons now why I think when collectors go back and listen to Vancouver records, they go, wow. And one of the reasons we had this guy Bob Rock in the studio twiddling the knobs.
Yeah, and I mean, that's important. And like music is, the things on the periphery of music are just as important as the central part, which is the actual music.
Yeah.
I mean, if the guy isn't twiddling the knobs correctly, it doesn't get
It can
captured.
sound like a muddy,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's integral. Anyway, my name is Michael Willmore. My special co-host here has been Scott Beadle, and we did a show just now on Vancouver New Wave.
Yeah.
There's more to come.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
Thank you. Bye for now.
This is the end.